welcome in. And so basically, what is going to be going on here is I'm going to go over a little bit of the giveaway info just in case you have missed any of the previous videos and kind of the details regarding that. We're also working on the Dual Strike Slayer that was suggested to mess around with for a pre-patch build. So we're going to do our Merc and our Uber Lab, then rush through the end of the axe and do a little bit of mapping. But welcome on in. I know this is first time doing YouTube live, so we'll see how this aspect of it goes. But I'm excited, actually. Dual Strike's been pretty fun to play. I'm not sure how well it's going to do with like more of the in-game bossing stuff, but it is at least interesting. And it's something that's very different than what I normally play, so that part's been exciting. I did level till about 40 using the Toxic Rain shell, basically. Then once we hit about 40, I went into Might Flay Claws, or Might Flay Dagger, and the Chaos Claw. I can't remember what the name of it is off the top of my head, but it's like the level 34 Fizz and Chaos Claw. And so I used those up until very, very recently. And then essentially what we did from there is I did switch into Ellie weapons. The reason I am basically mainly elemental damage is just because those were the best reasonable weapons I could get when I was starting to plan this out all the way. This should be... I'll mess with it here in a second. But it has really good clear for the most part. I did have to like path a little wonky to get like good clear. And obviously it has pretty good boss damage. Now, because we're talking melee, a lot of that is due to the weapon. And so with Dual Strike, you want kind of like fast attack speed weapons, as it gives you the best overall experience doing it that way. And absolutely nothing there. That's all right. We'll just keep on going. Hey, what's going on? How's it going? How's it going? So where we are at with this is we're just running labs. As far as the Headhunter giveaway is concerned, basically I talked to Grinding Your Games, and they will not allow me to do a giveaway of any in-game items. They consider it RMT. So we're going to do something a little bit different. I did talk to them, and I was able to basically give away a supporter pack. So what I'm going to be doing for the supporter pack portion of it is we are going to wait for the release, basically, of the new supporter pack. once the new packs come out, I will drop a video and I will have you'll comment on them, basically which one you want. And then once I have that information, I can take that to GGG. Basically, it's pre-approved, but there may be like some stipulations that they require as far as to be compliant. So once I have all the details from them and once everything is paid for and picked out, then I will go ahead and release a video regarding the giveaway itself once I have full details. But yeah. But if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Perfectly happy to answer. And very, very interested. Very, very interesting. I've really actually enjoyed the Dual Strike. And I hope it continues to do well. We'll kind of see. The real test for something like Dual Strike is going to be once you start doing the Guardian bosses. The advantage is having good weapons to begin with. Makes a world of difference. An absolute world of difference. And here we go, here we go, here we go. All right, so now kind of what we'll do is I'm probably going to do both labs back to back just because doing one lab doesn't seem like the best course of action essentially. And because then I can go ahead and get the crit nodes. Kind of the way I did it is I went for impact first because of the accuracy and the AoE, which seemed very, very vital. Then we went into Bane of Legends, so this one we'll finish up. Yeah, yeah, yeah. The first one I didn't have like any audio whatsoever. But here's your Dual Strike Slayer. We're doing Merc Lab with it right now. It's pretty good, man. It's pretty good. So basically, I would preface that this might not be the best League starter, Melee in general, if you're not really familiar with how to craft like pretty decent weapons early. Just because the dual strike damage itself is not the greatest. So you kind of need good weapons to essentially carry you. Which is kind of like the struggle of all melee builds. But it would definitely be a really solid choice for, like, if you played something that is just like generically pretty good, this would be a really good build to go into. Now, if you're familiar with crafting good weapons, this is perfectly fine for a League starter, but it is going to be extremely weapon dependent. And I think swords are probably your best option. I will say it's fairly smooth as far as the experience. The only stopgap I really ran into was the initial switch over from Toxic Rain to this, but I did it a lot earlier than I was expecting to. And a lot of that was I looked at my tabs and I had pretty decent weapons. Ooh, yeah, give me that cold. Give me that cold damage. I like it. All right. So the other thing is, I would do in a league start scenario. No, it's not. It's not. In a league start scenario, I would probably do impact first, then these two. Then I would pick up overwhelm last. Kind of where we're at tree wise. These are super important. Originally, I was going to pad through here and kind of skip this, but the splash area of effect is absolutely marvelous as far as your clear speed. And then I just keep getting like all the melee strike range and the additional strike stuff because it's really good. Then we're up here. So kind of the next couple of points will go into more spell suppression. And that should cap me once I get those. Yeah. So once I get these, I should be able to cap spell suppression. Then we can get the fun multi stuff here. Finish out this guy. And then possibly get like Blade Blaster. Go into Juggernaut. And then you can kind of do from there a couple of different ways. Or from like this part of it. I would probably come through this way. And go up and get Heart of the Warrior. The reason for that is then if I wanted to, I could get all this extra plus to elemental resistances. And that would make life significantly easier doing it that way. Oh, I forgot to grab my little fragment. But yeah, basically you can do it either way. Like, I'm basically scaling it through the... I'm basically scaling Ellie with it. And it's just because I was able to get these fairly cheap. And they're both like low 7, high 6 DPS weapons that are Ellie instead of Fizz. On the Fizz side of things, to get like a comparable weapon, it was looking at like triple to quadruple the cost. So I said, we'll just try Ellie and see how it goes. So far, it's been working really well. Yeah, the clear with those nodes is fine. The only thing as far as... like, this is definitely going to be one of those where you're going to want to do the neck anoint for this guy, Panopticon, just for totem buffs to get that extra damage burst. I have a feeling that's going to be kind of the route that you're going to want to go eventually. But with the splash, it's not so bad. Now, of course, if you're doing like just a boss, right, then you can take the splash part out, but you kind of need it otherwise. Even with running heralds, it's a little weak without the splash nodes, but with you had the splash nodes and melee splash, it's pretty good. And it's nothing too crazy. These weapons are actually probably more expensive than they would have been when the league was more popular. And I want to say it was like around 10x a piece. One was more expensive, one was less expensive. So not too crazy on the investment side. But of course, you can always craft your own. And like, if I was actually playing this from start, that's exactly what I would be doing. Is that guy? Is like just crafting. You know, get a good base maybe even like a fractured base and kind of craft from there. Because it's like not too bad normally to get either attack speed or a flat or a percent roll. And if you get basically, oh, the one shot, the one shot. That's the downside of still being on a tab because I'm still messing around with skill gems. I guess we'll have to wait on Uberlab because I think that was my only frag, but that's all right. We'll just keep rolling with it. Yeah, good old Azaro. Azaro is definitely, well, I mean, obviously I'm pushing it there too. Um, as far as like the defenses on it are concerned, I basically stacked determination and some armor, probably thinking more like going brass dome. Actually, I could get a brass dome right now and try that. Um, and then kind of going to, just because I think like brass dome with the changes is probably just the best chess piece in the game, and it allows us to run like the heavy evasion pieces everywhere else, so we can get spell suppression on it. Because I do have some spell suppression on gear, and I think that's probably the call, and that probably would have prevented that one shot. But I got greedy. I wanted the call. This call be, or no, I wanted the crit. The crit will be huge. There it is. As far as, but like you can kind of see like the, oh, I don't even have my forgot to turn everything back on. But as you can kind of see, like the clear's not bad, especially when you have like the herald pops and stuff. The other thing that might be worth it, since this is maybe more of a bossing league, is potentially, depending on how well you could scale it, maybe even something like Blade Flurry might actually be really good as a Slayer. Like, I feel like people think Assassin for Blade Flurry, but the base crit is very, very big for Blade Flurry specifically. Yeah, that's the downside of like basically all melee, right? Is that's like a just the struggle of melee. So I'm not sure if I'm feeling close combat support, just because I like to move so much. I might swap that out for Fortify. That's the other reason like I haven't got like anything but a tab, because I've been playing around with a bunch of gems, kind of just messing around and seeing if I can figure out what's gonna be kind of the best. I think I have Fortify in here. I have melee biz. Oh, there's a Fortify. So if we take out close combat, we don't need Nightblade anymore. I'm probably not going back to daggers and claws. The other thing that's cool, yeah. The other thing that might also be untouched, that may be even slightly better on the bossing side, would be double strike, because Vol double strike is insane, and dual strike doesn't have the best like it doesn't have like that extra support. Oh yeah. The other thing is, Fortify actually isn't bad on this with crit. Just because you crit enough that you're normally at max stacks. So another, like, kind of surprising outcome. I was not expecting Fortify to actually be up most of the time. And it actually has been basically throughout the entire leveling process. Which is fantastic. The other thing that's nice going double instead of dual is double you only had to craft one weapon, where dual you had to craft two. And it gives you just like a nice burst. This is probably better for clear because of the way you can kind of chain stuff. It would be a very similar tree though either way. The only difference is you would just take out anything that says dual wielding and replace it by something that says two-hand, you know, basically the very minimal changes, if that actually looks more appealing. But it's been fun and smooth. The only thing this has made me miss is Soul Taker being good. Because I haven't played like the Blender style in a very long time. Since basically Bringer of Rain was meta, which that's been a few years now. But it would be nice to see like a rework with like Bringer of Rain and Soul Taker to make them where they're a little more prevalent and like more comparable to a decent weapon. I think they should revisit a lot of weapons specifically, especially melee weapons, and make them a little more competitive on the unique side. Like, it doesn't have to be the best thing in the game, but at least where there's a reason to use them. Because the nice thing, like, if we had Soul Taker here, is then we could go for we could then have Grace running instead of Defiance Banner, which Grace is substantially better than Defiance Banner. And that would be fantastic. You can have that back. But yeah, yep. The other thing that would be interesting with the dual elemental is seeing kind of what I would like to see what it would do against a lot of the in-game stuff. Especially with the attack speed, because the attack speed's fantastic. Like, and as you can probably see, like, DPS is good to very good. But this stuff also doesn't have a lot of Elia res, so it could fall off later. So it's kind of one of those we'll have to wait and see. As I get some levels and I figure out what gym setup I want to do. The other thing that would be interesting to do is something like this. Yeah. Well, it's not that they've changed their minds. It's just they basically the last time that they really rebalanced uniques was with faded uniques. And those were much better versions of a lot of old standbys. But that was back when Prophecy League launched. Like, we've had so much power creep in general since then. I think the idea has always been that they don't mind uniques being good. I think they just don't want uniques to be the best available, which is reasonable. Like, crafting should always give you a better outcome than uniques. I do think it is in everyone's best interest to have decent uniques where there is a way, maybe it's 10% to 20% lower on damage, but it has something unique about it that you can build around. And then if it's not a build around unique, I think you can set it like even higher than that, where maybe it's like a 15 to 10% damage loss compared to not like a max crafted, but just a well crafted item. You kind of get into weird scenarios because it used to be that, like, especially like back when Starforge was good, it used to be that so many people would play Starforge builds just because it was easier than rolling. So you want to have some kind of a trade-off. But I think they're a little more open now. And like, I want to craft a lot this next league because we're hopefully getting 4 new influences, right? So that alone makes me want to mess around with crafting because we don't know what we're going to get and we don't know what those outcomes are going to be. And mystery is fun. I would really like to see Ellie convert or extra Ellie stuff. Like, not necessarily Fizz either. Like, Ellie convert to extra of other Ellie. I think that would be really neat to get modifiers like that. I also think a way of completely having both chill and brittle, for instance, and things of that nature would also be a lot of fun if they made it where, like, one of the influence modifiers gave brittle specifically, but you could get chill and freeze in another way. Yeah, they are. Well, especially for, like, I'm really hoping they do, like, I'm really hoping Melee gets some love, because it feels like Melee outside of general cry builds are pretty on the weak side, which is unfortunate. As the like, general cry is not everyone's cup of tea, and it probably should be the best version there is. Like, it should probably be just absolutely better than everything else because it is very mechanically hard to play. But it shouldn't be like the only melee build. And I think that's kind of where we're at now, which is not the greatest. And it would be good to see it be a little different than that, and it be a little more universally. Like, I would love to see even more AoE than this on strike skills. Because you think about it, you're already taking up a gem slot to get that, and you're taking up like at least 5 nodes, if not more than 5 nodes, to get like this level of clear. And I would like to see it where it was more on point with something that didn't, like Wander, for example. Wander gets significantly better clear at 1 gem investment than a strike skill does, and they're essentially mechanically the same thing. So it'd be nice to see strikes get a little more love, or maybe get a inherent splash where they kind of built in, and it doesn't have to be a huge radius, where they either built in that they automatically target an additional one, or if they leveled up and got additional strikes nearby enemies while like on the gym itself. That would also be really cool. Yeah, it is. It's definitely it's like there's strengths and benefits to it. Like the strength is you get good movement when you play melee because both Whirling Blades and Leap Slam are really good movement skills. So that's a strength of it. The downside though is especially with unknown bosses and where we have to mechanically dodge and we don't know, and especially with stuff getting auras now, like a lot of bosses have like auras or run around and things like that. So every little bit of what's the best word for it, every little bit of proximity is scarier, and so that's definitely a disadvantage on the melee side compared to casters and totems and traps and stuff, which can, run around essentially and do damage. Another option would be to do something like Mirage Archer support for melee, where maybe it was a clone that would run around and hit stuff for you. That could be cool. Oh yes, Tim, yes. Old SRS, the best SRS. That was so much fun to play too. Summoners are actually probably going to be really, really powerful unless they like gut them. Like I could see just like even like a pure Skelly being just insane, which would be interesting. Be very, very interesting. Having that cull is so nice. That's the big thing for Slayer. Another possible Slayer option. Yeah, they are. They really are. They're oh rip. I didn't get the waypoint. They are, and the mages are really good too. So you can kind of play it either way, which is pretty strong. I have a feeling something like that might be like an underdog thing for Boss League as well. Especially if Nemesis is, yeah. Especially if Nemesis is a combination, like with Arch Nemesis, if we're getting a combination of needing to clear and boss, which would probably be kind of the best of both worlds. Because those leagues are always the most exciting when you kind of have to have a balanced character and you're not full tilt one way or the other. It would make things like Skelly's pretty appealing, which would be a good thing. Like I think it would be good to have a paradigm shift. The other thing is clear speed naturally hinders traps quite a bit because it's something that traps have never been the best at. That can boss. But that's the thing, when that's the hard part with balancing the hard part with balancing things like minions is that they make melee too good. It normally like it hits minions too, so it's like a weird balancing act. because the way most minions work is they're melee. So at least brings some like interesting balanced decisions as far as that's concerned. Get all the books. But yeah. Oh, do I want to put something else on Whirling Blades now? Is there another red gem? Oh, I need to fix that too. So the reason basically this was Wedgie's idea to do Dual Strike. I thought about doing Double Strike with it. And we kind of talked about that a little bit earlier, that might actually be a very solid way of going about it. But really, it's that like, you could easily, like, swap the gems and basically take out, like, the splash support because you don't need it for bossing. And that actually would probably be something I would want to do. The other issue is just that gems, like the amount of gems that I'm running. We'll do cruelty, I guess. Gives that extra damage. And then we need a blood rage. There we go. Now we got the frenzy part taken care of. More spell suppression. What does that put us up to? 89%. Okay. We're getting there. We're getting there. But yeah, I would probably lean pretty heavy on that idea, the like a complete gem swap over, as far as until we know more about the new bosses. But it's actually been pretty okay, even without that. Like the Vol Double Strike. I think Vol Double Strike just gives you a little bit raw bossing damage. But I also think you would lose a little clear. So I think you would want to do like a swap. Now, of course, if you get a really good pair of gloves, where you could get some extra rolls or maybe a good helmet. Probably gloves, though. Gloves are a little bit better for melee than helmets are. But if you could get a good pair of gloves with a couple of rolls in it, absolutely worth doing Vol Double Strike in that. Even if it's just for a complete bossing setup, and you basically only use it for that. Which would be not the worst in the world. Not the worst thing in the world. And then, in case anyone's missed it, that's here now, just so y'all know kind of what we're looking like as far as the giveaway stuff is concerned, in case you haven't seen the more updated videos. I essentially can't give away Headhunter. I got told no. I got denied. So what we're going to do instead is I'm going to be giving away a supporter pack. So as soon as the new supporter packs go live, I basically have it pre-approved to give away. I just have to wait for them to go live. Y'all tell me which one of the ones that y'all want. That way I can pay for them. Then I will get any stipulations that Grinding Gear Games has as far as giving it away. Because they gave me kind of like a soft okay. But they said, you know, we may need to tweak some things to make sure it's compliant with everything that they want. And then as soon as we get all that figured out, which hopefully I can get done within a day or two and get the details, then I'll want to have a little bit of time as far as giveaways. So probably launch week we will have the giveaway for the new league, and hopefully I will have all the details by the Monday before launch week. And so that's kind of the idea here at this point. But basically, I can't even like give y'all an out. It's basically GGG's idea on it is that I can't do anything in game, but instead I can do the supporters pack stuff. So what I will do with the supporters pack stuff is kind of let y'all like put up a poll or a vote or something. Maybe do like a straw poll that I'll release with the video and set it for like a 24-hour timer. That way everybody can kind of weigh in what they want or comment on the video. I'll figure something out. But basically just try to get the best pack for y'all. Because I tried to see if they would let me just kind of do anything, like any of the packs, like, and just like give them a dollar amount. And they said it had to be specific. So that's the other part of the issue, is that they need a specific pack. And I didn't want to do one of the packs that's already out just in case you already purchased it. I'd rather do something that's, you know, brand new that maybe you're going to purchase anyway, and maybe I can do that for you. So I will have more details. It's just kind of all up in the air pending at the moment. The other one that I saw suggested that looked interesting was the Gyre Claw. Yeah, they have been. They have been very consistent. They have not liked that stuff. I didn't realize how extreme they were going to be, but they are extreme. Because I figured, like, as long as I'm like streaming it, like, and there's no catch or monetization or anything like that required, but they do not see it the way I do, and it probably, like, sadly hurts their game in the long run, just because it limits what you can do as a content creator for your audience. And I understand having a strict RMT policy. I think it's a good thing because it prevents you from being World of Warcraft, where bots are everywhere and are the biggest problem with the game, and it defines the game because they are so prominent. And so, like, I get it, but there's like probably a happy middle. I also think it would be good for them to give away items to, like, do a developer live stream at launch, maybe, or maybe like a pre-live stream, right, where they go through and they just spend like an hour interacting with the league mechanic through acts, you know, and you don't have to have somebody that's good at the game to do that, like just someone that works at GGG do it. And then, you know, kind of show off the mechanic a little bit, and maybe do like some in-game stuff. Like, I think that would be really cool, and I think that would help with the hype machine. Because if you got to like league start with a tab or, you know, something like that, even if it's just like little stuff that's just nice quality of life, it would be really cool to do stuff like that. But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see kind of how they do this. But yeah, but like I get it. I get it as a they don't want bots. Like that's the thing, right? And they're trying to do what they can to stop them. And I mean, we still have like a botting problem. And Path of Exile is just not so rampant as it is in other games. And a lot of that is due to the strict policies. So it's kind of like a weird balancing act. Like they could maybe do a little bit more with the community. But that and the other thing is like, if you really want to stop botting, all you had to do is trade all day long. Like literally just try to trade items and ban people. Like, I don't know. Or you just make it where you can craft your own stuff way better. And then it just isn't as big of an issue. Like in Harvest, botting was a little less prevalent than it is now. And I think a lot of that is just due to the fact that in Harvest you can make such good items that most people weren't buying the little stuff and they were buying more of the big stuff. But it's also a problem because the best trade experiences you typically have in this game are with bots. So it's a weird conundrum. And that's for people that make a salary to make those kind of decisions to make. But overall, very, very pleased. Very, very pleased with this. The other thing I'm not quite sure if it's worth it is the block stuff. The reason I went with it is because Ellie. And coupled with the block stuff is Ellie damage. Which is pretty good. It's nice to have the freezes and the shock. Very, very nice. Good quality of life. And I think that's the other thing when looking at something potentially for like a league starter, is you're gonna want something that can mechanically make it where it's less scary. And this is pretty good. Yes, bots do actually trade. And they aren't busy running maps. Also, if champion gets gutted, this going the Bane of Legends stuff, probably not the worst idea for War Chief totems as well. Make it even a stronger bosser. And then you could go into the you could still go into the crit stuff that way too. Maybe do two-hander. So you don't really get the good benefit of dual wielding there, unfortunately. Oh. Alright. Let's get more crit. Or should we get more life? Probably more life at this point. Get those couple of life nodes, then we'll go get the crit nodes. But having cap spell suppression now feels good. That's the other thing. It's going to be interesting to see what they do with spell suppression. And what they do with like Divine Shield and Ghost Dance. Because I feel like Ghost Dance is not good enough. And Divine Shield might be Mr. Research. No. So that could be interesting as well. How's the quality? Is everything okay for you guys? Since I can't like really check it so much while I'm doing it. Is like, are we having latency issues or anything like that, or resolution issues? I meant to ask that earlier and I just forgot. Another thing that would be really neat, like the more that I thought about it with the arch nemesis stuff. Okay, good to know, Tim. I appreciate it. Okay, okay, good to know. Good to know. Another thing arch nemesis was making me think about was as far as the implementation, like thinking more on the statue and everything, is what if they gave us double nemesis rares? Like, because, like, you know, how we have nemesis rares now, but if they gave us nemesis with 2 rare modifiers, and there was only one of them, but it was in a pack of, like, nemesis creatures, so, of course, scary. And then if by killing those double nemesis that you fill out the statue, and then once it's the secondary modifier that matters. So each secondary modifier you kill opens up the statue more and more and more and more, right? And then when it breaks out, it is a rare, because that would be cool, right? If it was a rare. So it actually like works with Headhunter and like everything that Nemesis works with. But what if it had every Nemesis modifier on it? Because that would be terrifying. So it's basically like a full-blown, fully buffed, fully Headhuntered player that you're having to fight. I think that would be cool. But that was like just me thinking about it like for a long time, because I spend way too much time thinking about weird things like this. But I think that would be sick. Be absolutely sick and terrifying, which is kind of the best of both worlds. Yes, that's the idea. Yeah. Where it's like an absolute monstrosity, where you just, it's like you kind of want to interact with the league mechanic and you kind of don't at the same time. That would be fun though, I think. Something like that, where it's like, oh, okay, you like killing rares? Let's see how much you like killing this rare. And it was like the Abaxoth of Nemesis. And then of course you'd had to make it where like obviously like killing him. Yeah. I mean, good content though, right? It would be fun if, you know, no hardcore gamer like that interacted with the league was ever higher than like 80. Yes. I would always interact with it in that case. Like I would never skip it. Not once. Tim typically always interacts anyway. I get a little more uh frugal with it. Like I'll interact with it for the first little bit if I enjoy it. And then like I kind of concentrate on getting to maps typically. And then I'll come back and interact with it in maps. But it would be really, really interesting if it was like legit terrifying. And of course, you can make some of those Nemesis mods where they only show up in maps, so it doesn't like just gut people going through the acts, because that would be kind of the downside of it. But I think that would be really fun, really really fun, and it would be something that, like, obviously it would have to be super rewarding too, but it would be something that's so different, and it's something that they could also then implement into the core game seamlessly, because it would essentially be the exact same in both. Yes. Yes, I know. Because you interact with everything. But you also have pretty good gear typically because of it when you pick it up. So another thing, like, especially like League Start and stuff, you'll notice that Tim and I play together a lot. And I would like it to interact well with party play so we can continue that tradition. Because I have more fun playing with people. Yeah, yeah, basically. That's kind of my strat. Well, that and it also depends, because like Harvest, I did not skip any Harvest ever. Harvest, I interacted the entire way, and then I like was farming it in low levels just to get all the seeds. I loved Harvest. Um, and then like Synthesis, I barely interacted with at all while leveling. Like, it really just depends. Ritual, I interacted with basically the whole time. Um, it really kind of just depends on how rewarding it is and if I enjoy it. Scourge, I am bad about clicking the button, as you probably noticed, because like I just completely zone out. And I wish there was like I could put that on like a cast when damage taken or something where it would just randomly throw me in. That would be fun. Because I'm going to forget about it. I'm gonna forget to hit the button. Even talking about it, I'm forgetting to hit the button. But yeah, so it's, I don't know, for me, I like non-interactive league mechanics because then you can't really avoid them. And so it just makes leveling more interesting. And I don't mean like non-interactive as in like bad design, but things like anarchy, um, things like Parandus, things like breach, where it's kind of like you just run over it and it happens, like where it's you don't have to, like, it's just there. Like, those are kind of my favorite league mechanics because I do interact with them more because it's less tedious. I don't like tediousness, especially in like a game this complex. It doesn't need it. There's 1.5 million things to be tedious about in this game anyway. Oh yes. Vol Breach was the best designed troll. Yes, Invasion was really good for that. Vol Breach was the best designed troll ever. And I think that should be core. Like, make Vol Breach core, but make it where it's like an actual portal, and make it where it's like the Uber stuff. That would be great. Great. Make it a reward off of the like most difficult versions of Breach too. I can't think of the name of it off the top of my head. But give us a Vol Breach that you press it and it literally makes a breach appear, so you can just run off screen into it and then just kind of keep running. That would be amazing. Amazing. Yes. Yes. It has to look exactly like a normal breach. That's the key to it. It has to be indistinguishable. And just destroy them. Like, just make it specifically to wreck people. I also wish they would make it where it's like I think the problem on the aura fixes is they made it where it's less rewarding to run in groups of 2 to 3, but basically if you're running in a group of 6, it's unimpacted. And I think that's actually where the changes need to be happening, is groups of like 3 plus probably do need a little bit of maybe quant nerfing or something. I think there is something to that, but I don't like the fact that it's like harder to run groups of 2 and 3 now. I feel like that wasn't the main problem. I think the main problem was full party quant. So maybe they'll change something around with that aspect this time around. And maybe make it where like aura bots are really good if it's just you and an aura bot. Or you and a curse bot or whatever. But then if it's you and a curse bot and an aura bot and a shock bot or what, you know, whatever, strength stacking and blah 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 blah, those are significantly worse together. Or maybe they just make it where there's only so much effectiveness. That would be kind of a solution possibly for that, is make it where yeah, they did have the anti-support. Or as I like to call them, Tim builds. Because Tim also likes to play things that make it where Headhunter doesn't work, and etc. etc. And but yeah, that would be neat. I would like to see more of a, like, maybe they just make it where players can only be supported by so many auras and have that, or so much effectiveness, and have just like a hard limit to it. So no matter how much you scale, you're only providing X amount. Yes. That would also be interesting. Yes. Yes. So like what was it that you're playing, like the summon spider thing, right? With the gloves that made it where you got all the kill effects, like as I got my headhunter? Oh, Keith, Tim does the same thing. I troll Tim every league at league start because he starts dying, and like I'm like fine, but it's because he has on white items with no resistances. But yeah, oh, it's fun. It's fun. Defenses are well, and that's the other thing that'll be interesting here. Yes, ever. Unless, well, no, I'll take that back. It's not ever. It's unless he luck sacks into like gold rim and stuff that just naturally fix it. But yeah. And I'm one of those that like every time I kill Katava, like the first thing I do is like sit there and like mess with reses for a sec. Cause I don't like dying. Not a thing. But I also don't like, I also like stuff running stuff where I should die. Ouch. Yeah, that would do it. That would do it. Yes, yes, basically. Another thing that would be interesting if they made it, since we're having to like spend more mana reservation and stuff like that now, it would be interesting if the new influences either did something with defenses or did a lot for our damage percentages. That way it wouldn't feel so bad to try to like have a fairly balanced character without crazy investment. I guess I should caveat that, because it's not hard to have a really balanced character. All you need is 12 mirrors, perfectly balanced. So that's the real trick. Yes. Yeah. I have bought many a soul rests. Many a soul rests. Well, and what's crazy, Keith, is that was like everybody's experience with Invasion. Like our whole group, I want to say we had one at level 10 by like 2 to 3 hours in, because it was so overtuned. It was beautiful. I think I died 5 or 6 times in the not the Twilight Strand, but in the second area, because I kept getting the Stormburst invasion boss, which just likes to truck people. Oh, nice. Archmage actually might be really good, since it's gonna probably be a bossing league. Oh yes, yes, Brightbeak. If you get an early Brightbeak, just leap slam through everything. Great strat. It was Scourge that I got the Brightbeak super early, wasn't it? And that's basically what I did. Just went. Ooh, I like it. I like the idea there. Hmm. Now I need a POB 10. I need a. So that could be interesting. Ming's hard. Oh, rip Ming's hard. You used to be playable, and now it's just garbage. And it's so sad because it's rare. Like, it's not like super common. It's not as uncommon as it used to be now, I don't think, but it also used to be good. And now it's just not. So it's yeah, per strength. So you could do So you'd have to do Strength Stacker. You would have to do um, and it's Fizz. So then you could kind of do whatever with it afterwards. What's the range on shrapnel like? Isn't it like a cone? That's like that's what shrapnel blast is like, or shrapnel shot, whatever the name of it is. What actually are we at here? Chance to hits at 88. Crit chances at 41, which will be significantly boosted once we get our last one. Multis at 312. Oh, sweet. Reses are fixed. Yeah. Ah, ha, 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 ha. Pure chaos. Well, that says cannot deal non-chaos damage. But oh, adds chaos to attacks. Oh, it counts it as an attack, not a totem? That's interesting. It's very interesting. Huh. Neat. I like the look of it. I like the look of it. Yeah. Ice Crash definitely is pretty reliable. The only thing about Ice Crash specifically is that Ice Crash area is not generically the best. So you may have to like play around with it a little bit to get it where it's actually like good. Well, did I get a reflect map? That had to be Ellie reflect. I did not pay attention. We'll rip that. Let's try this again. No reflect apparently. Okay. Oh, Lord have mercy. Lord have mercy. Yeah, this is better. Not instantly one-shotting myself. Positive changes. Yep, I did. I did. Open sesame. Eh, pretty good. Yeah. So, read for reflect maps if you're gonna play this build, clearly. Because you will kill yourself. I wonder what the colors on my breast are, if I can make them more this. Okay, chaos is a problem, which I should be able to fix if I'd actually spend more time in gearing. Yeah, overall, not bad. Not bad. T5 map, so we're like a little ahead of the curve for first map. And it's going pretty well after the reflect shenanigans. Yeah. Might be onto something with the Dual Strike Slayer. Might be onto something. The only thing about playing this is it's making me want to play Blade Flurry. But not like the Blade Flurry we have, but like good Blade Flurry. Because this kind of gives me that vibe of good Blade Flurry. Yes. Well, that's like the problem, right? Is that the best way to deal with spells damage is spell suppression, which basically means that you almost have to get on the right side of the tree. And so I'm not sure how they're going to tackle that. If they're going to nerf spell suppression itself, or if they're going to give access across the board. Like, I think that's the actual call. Yeah, the thing, kind of just as a general overview as far as melee trees, if you're going crit specifically, no matter where you're going, you kind of want to get this node, right? Like, basically always you want to get this little cluster up here. And then you want to get one of these, depending on whatever base type it is. And then from there, you kind of want to look at where the good nodes are for whatever weapon you're actually using. So in the case of swords, it's really this wheel right here. And like this guy's pretty good. And this guy's pretty good. And then you kind of just path around there. The thing about melee trades that's hard is you have to pre-plan the weapon. And that's what makes them difficult. So to do a good melee tree, because the weapon nodes are better than the generic nodes, so you really want to focus on those, but it's hard to do that if you don't already have a weapon. So like normally if I'm playing melee, I try to do that as a second build, not necessarily as a first build, because then I already have the weapon that I'm looking at using, and then I can make the tree more accurate. But even if you don't have the weapon, what you can do in something like this, so you could basically go up here and get the raw pathing stuff done, right? Like this stuff, like get this cluster right here, come up, get the crit nodes. If you're gonna do dual strike, obviously come get a little bit of the generic stuff here. Definitely get at least one node here. And then skip all the damage stuff. Well, I guess you could get this if you're going to do dual strike. Then wait till you have your in-game weapon crafted, and then pick up all of the specific weapon nodes. Basically, fill out all your defensive layers, fill out all of your life nodes, get all your travel nodes out of the way. Yes. Yeah, that is weird. I wish you would get especially like it doesn't make sense on an evasion shield that it can't get spell suppression. But it would be really nice if like there was another cluster like this and like this, maybe over here, right? Like, because this part normally doesn't get path through anyway in Templar. So they could put it maybe here. And then they could put another one like way in Jug, right? So maybe they could squeeze in something here to the side here that maybe gave you a little bit of access to spell suppression on this side of the tree, just where you can kind of make it work. It doesn't have to be as powerful as these two nodes, because these are like the two best ones to get. But it would be nice if there was stuff like here or here, or maybe even like here. Like change this up, because this isn't the greatest of nodes. Or maybe put something over here for spell suppression. I also think like they should add ward stuff to which, like I think the ES stuff should have a flat amount of ward on it. Like if all the notables had like 100 ward on them for ES stuff, it would actually make Energy Shield way more playable than it is currently. Because Energy Shield is now in a really bad place compared to armor and compared to evasion. The only reason it's kind of getting some play is because Divine Shield's good. But that's not really something that's directly related to Energy Shield. It's related to the Divine Shield mechanic more so than anything else. Oh, it's a blight map. I don't know if I want to do a blight map right now. Cool. Reflect? No. Cool. Yes. Yeah, the problem is the biggest damage thresholds in the game sadly are spell now, and they are not attack. So you kind of need armor or very high evasion to deal with the baseline attacks. And then you need spell suppression to deal with the boss damage, because the boss damage is so high now in comparison of where it was beforehand. And honestly, I wish that they would give... Maybe it doesn't even have to be spell suppression. Maybe it could be something else that takes off a flat amount of the spell damage, so it fits more in line with armor. Because really what they did with armor is they're like, oh, here's some extra res stuff. And yeah, extra res stuff is nice, but it doesn't... Like, it doesn't make it where you can prevent death. And that's what people want to prevent, is the death. You know, or at least have a fighting chance to react. And spell suppression's really good for that, because it just gives you a much lower number that you're taking. So if you take off half the damage, it turns out you don't die. Crazy. And they really should, because block is essentially like evasion. Like, that's the thing that's weird to me, is spell suppression is like armor and block is like evasion, but they're on opposite ends of the tree. Like, spell suppression mechanically, even though it's you're taking off flat amount, right? Which is kind of armor's thing. And block is to all the way prevent it, which is kind of evasion's thing. So they kind of flip-flop them. And that's why it is so good. Because it turns out just not taking as much damage is a really good way of living. And it also makes it where the like it just doesn't make like logical sense. Like it would be cooler if they would move, maybe not move block, but I think it would be cooler if the right side of the tree had better block options and the left side of the tree had better, like, overall flat mitigation. So basically you did the super evade character, right, where you're just evading everything, or you do the super prevention character, so you're just not taking as much. That seems interesting to me. Either that or the other thing they could do too, which should be interesting, is to bring back dodge as a mechanic, but make it where it only applies to spells, and the stuff on the left hand side of the tree, or I mean on the right hand side of the tree, is all basically spell dodge, and the stuff on the left hand side of the tree is all basically spell suppression. That would also be very interesting. Because, like, there's no reason to go spell dodge right now. Because spell suppression is just better than spell dodge. And so it'd be interesting to have a. And I think it fits the classes a little bit better too. Like, what they're good at, what they're weak to. And then everybody gets, like, defensive layers that match. Yeah, exactly. Well, and that's the thing, because you're getting, like, the whole character for, like, even if you go evasion and armor cap, right? Or, like, the soft cap that puts you at, like, 75% or whatever. Not even, like, the hard cap on it. But even if you go full soft cap, you're essentially building the character to take a lot of little damage. And that's why spell suppression would make sense on the left-hand side of the tree, and why spell dodge would make sense on the right-hand side of the tree. Because on the right-hand side of the tree, what you're doing is you're just gearing up where you can occasionally take a hit. Right? That's the whole thing with the mechanics behind it. And then on the left-hand side of the tree, what you're doing is you're building it essentially so you just occasionally you take more chip damage than the big hits. And the right hand side, or the left, yeah, the right hand side of the tree is more you take big hits, but you don't take little hits. So it's kind of backwards philosophy. Also, it would be really cool to revisit the Itziri chest specifically, and make it where uh like, not the unique ones, but the baseline ones that you drop from Uber Itziri. That could potentially be really, really cool to do something with those and make it where they could get uh like the defensive, like a defensive, what's the word for it, a defensive notable as, like, an anoint on them somehow, so they dropped with random annoyance and then you could craft on them. Like, if one dropped with divine shield and another one dropped with ghost dance, or they dropped with, one of the spell suppression ones, or phase acro, or whatever. That would be something that would be really cool to make Uber Itziri more worth running than it is currently. That would be something very fun. Oh, hey. I need one of those. Give me sextants, and I guess give me crumbs. Alright. Let's... I think I blast dumps on this guy. I cleared out a lot of my characters just because I ran out of character slots. So that was interesting. Okay, so it is. So we can move this over. Yeah. Another unique. Is there a second breast thumb in here? Oh, there is. It's not colored well. I'll put this one on him so he doesn't lose his breast thumb. I also think breast thumb's getting nerfed. I have a feeling they're gonna nerf it. It's really good, and they typically don't like it when things are really good. I can't make those colors work. Okay, let's do this back. Let me take the other one then, and I'll color it. There is. So I will be transparent. I have not done a lot with it yet. But I can absolutely get you the link. Give me 1 second here. Do I even have Discord up? I do not. There we go. All right. And let me see if I can figure out how to post this in. It doesn't give me a way to post in OBS from here. Tim, can you do me a huge favor? I'm gonna send you the link if you could post that in Twitch for them. Or I'm sorry, not in Twitch, in YouTube for them. Because it doesn't give me the option to do so. Ooh. That's the good stuff, man. I'm actually gonna put that in there with the gems. Yeah. Corrupt it, hope it doesn't brick, and well, actually, most of what I want is reds, so I think I'm fine. Cause I think I can just so I'm gonna want 1, 2, 3. So I need 1 green for dual strike. So this one's actually close. If I force green and a blue. Yeah, I haven't put in the descriptions just because I haven't really figured out exactly what to do with it yet. Oh, this is corrupted. So I want, if I do 1 green, I need like 1 green, 1 blue, probably. Is that doable? Let's see here. Can we make this work? So definitely Ellie, definitely melee splash. That loses fortify and multi-strike, which I think is okay. We need another green support gem. Let's take a gander at what options are available here. Close combat was not the greatest. None of those really seem appealing. Don't need coal. Oh, faster tax. Hard to go wrong with faster tax. Is there a cosmetic for Dual Strike even? Let's take a look here. Oh, that's Dual Dragon Aura. That's unfortunate. That's the other thing that gets me is like they don't have a lot of cosmetics for a lot of melee skills. And I don't know if they realize how much that plays into like how popular a lot of the skills are is because they have good cosmetics. So let's look at where we're at defensively now. So we're at 80 to all res, which is fantastic. Negative 42 to chaos. We're over the baseline armor cap. We're at 84%. And this is without flash. So with flash, we should be at the full 90. Evasion is a little weak. That's all right. I guess let's go and try to do the Uber Lab again, now that I have one of these fragments. And see how that goes. Oh, I guess I could spend my skill point. Yes, prevent the extra 2%. Also, masteries are really good for the health of the game long term. I think that was a great idea. And you also don't want to get too many of them. Like, they're all good. And you don't want to get too many of them because you don't want to lose a lot of raw damage or raw defenses. So it makes it where it's interesting and you had to make challenging decisions, which I like. I do wish you got like another thing that would be a cool way to do it is if they didn't make them skill points, but if they gave you X number of them. Oh, it might not let you post links. I forgot about that. If it doesn't let you, Tim, don't worry about it. I'll put it in like the description of the next set. I forgot I had to turn off posting links, I think, because I was having like spam bots like send porn sites out on my videos, and I did not want that because that is not cool. All right, let's see if I can avoid the one shot this time. Yeah, I don't know if it's I can't remember what setting I checked. I checked one setting and it turned it off, and I never like revisited it. I'm not sure if it's like a global thing. Oh, Golden Door, of course. Of course it's Golden Doors. Wow. All right. You know, after playing the endless events, I really did not miss Lab at all. I'm sure I'm not the only one. Like it feels like it's just not needed anymore. Have a good night, Gee. I missed one. Where did I miss you at? That's normally the top two. Oh, it's because I had to go in the top. That's what it is. Didn't miss any. Just had to come in through here. There's the one that lets me get out of that. But let's see. Hopefully, I can get through this, get that giant crit buff, and just start shredding stuff. Because that's the ultimate goal. I may also take a slight detour, get a couple of regrets at some point, and see how this feels with Blade Flurry, since I have gear that's basically the same for both. Just kind of see how that goes, because I always love Blade Flurry. Yeah, well, it's not that even the like I think like having lab to rend for enchants is good, if that makes sense. I just don't know if gating, like I don't know about the, forcing the need to run it. Oh, is what I think is the actual thing, is like, because it just takes away from the leveling. Rip. It takes away from the leveling, and because it's like it's unintuitive compared to how the game normally plays, right? Like Lab is, and it makes it where you had to hit a different requirement that you need anywhere else, and that's the part of Lab that well, that's like pure DPS ring. Uh, That belt is not the greatest. How over are we on? Hmm. 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 Yeah. Take out the ascendancy stuff. Keep it for enchants. Perfectly cool with that. Perfectly cool with that. I think the ascendancy stuff, I like the idea that you just get it and you can kind of just keep advancing. But then if you want to get the enchants, I like the mechanic of going through and getting the enchants because it's definitely worth it and it is rewarding. And maybe you make it less rooms too. Like maybe you just make it where it's always like maybe like always like 6 rooms on Uber instead of I think it's at like 9 now is like minimum Uber. But maybe you make it where it's like 6 rooms on Uber and you make it where it's enchants, but maybe you make it where you double the enchants to balance it out, right? So it's more worth it to run it. Something like that, especially with giving away the prophecy that does the twice enchanted. So maybe they just make twice enchanted the normal, take out the ascendancy portion of lab, and make it where you just get, you know, 1 glove, 1 boot, and like 4 helm enchant options every time you run Uber Lab. And do the same with Merc too. And they're just like the weaker versions. But it makes it where it's worth running at that point, but it's not so like where you had to go in and out of the campaign. Because like that's the bad part, like when I drop that map, is it's like I feel like I need that ascendancy, if that makes sense. At this point. Like it's like I need this. I need to have this thing right now. And so it's not so bad on league start. In most, like obviously I'm pretty low HP overall. That's why I was looking at like taking this off and kind of seeing where I was at to see if maybe I can get into a like some chaos res potentially on a belt. And um I'm not at all a hoarder, despite what it obviously looks like. Not at all a hoarder. Let's see what we if we have anything that's really spicy here. Because I essentially just need a hair of fire. Hmm. And I could easily get that fire by replacing a ring too. What are you? No. Hmm. What are you? Strength, fire. Ooh, crit chance against shocked enemies. That actually wouldn't be horrible. The belt for playtesting the PD. Yeah, yeah. I keep some things. I keep some things. These are all my like mage blood flasks. Anything that has a little podium on it. All my mage blood flasks for swapping around testing purposes. Ooh, that has a lot of strength and dex and life. That would be really good. I can use that at 78. This is essentially like my leveling setup. This I use these in a belt room. I forgot to move belt room over, but this is the all the uniques I used while leveling just to make it go fast. Um, So this has potential. Maybe put that there. Well, and it's normally not this bad. It's just I made a lot of builds this league. For like, cause this was the first league I really did like YouTube stuff. Like seriously. And so I had a lot of just random stuff I kept saving because I was like, oh, I wonder if I'm gonna make a video regarding anything like this. And so I just kind of hung on to more than I normally would hang on to and tested out a bunch of like just really random stuff to see if I could make it work. Some of it worked out, some of it didn't, but it's all part of the learning curve. Let's see if we have a maybe a better ring than this guy. This ring's not that great. Really, only thing it has on it is int and fire. Here's a diamond ring. I kind of want an Ellie weak ring. I wonder if there's a... Let's see what we got here. This will take me just a second. I'm going to see if I can get just like a ridiculous Ellie weak ring with some fire res. Because that would be... And what did this have on it? 38. And I'm how much short? So I need like 42. And then life. I don't want to guess from above. I just want a generic. No, that's not what I said. Cooperate with me, Path of Exile trade. Diamond. Just a plain diamond ring. Thank you. Let's see. Ooh. I don't know if this is going to respond. It's the only one up. But we'll see. If he does, we'll gladly buy it. Because if I can do this, then I can throw in Mage Blood or Headhunter. By Headhunter. And go zoom zoom. So that's the goal right there. Mage Blood might make it a little too easy. Okay, does not look like it's gonna happen with Diamond Ring, so let's just try any old ring. Hey, what do you know? That'll work. Yay. Not too crazy. So we're getting a ring that has 41 int, 42 fire, Ellie weakness, and 53 life on it. For 15C. Cool. Sweet. Now we have Headhunter, which is wonderful. Alright, let's go run some more maps. I love the crit ones when you have Brass Dome. like the little crit the crit roll maps makes it fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Basically from here I'm probably gonna have to like really invest in some life nodes because I'm pretty low on that aspect, and damage obviously is not a problem. Dude, this is sick with Headhunter. Give me Uber Nemesis. My goodness. There we go. Proc Shields, still the cancer. Yeah, so hmm. I wonder if yeah, it really is. It really is. Can I do that? No. Can I do that? And then run Defiance Banner? I can. Let's see what this is like. So this is no heralds, pure defenses, basically. I was thinking the heralds were gonna be like absolutely necessary, but maybe with the splash nodes, they're just not. I would still recommend leveling with heralds though, just because quality of life. But yeah, once you get like a couple of rares going, very nice. Very, very nice. I am very excited to see kind of exactly where we're sitting next Friday. It's always fun the speculation and the thinking about it before it actually happens. Yeah, this is fine without heralds. Well, that's super helpful. So that means you could also do um you could also do purity of elements instead of purity of grace if you didn't want to deal with elemental immunities. And then you wouldn't have to worry about reses nearly as much too. Should be pretty good. I like that idea. I like that idea. So yeah, this is solid. This is solid. Definitely, like, definitely not the best clear speed, but for a strike skill, pretty good. Pretty good. I don't know if it would be this good without going Ellie though. Um, I think the Ellie is definitely helping with the clear because we're getting lots of freezings and shatterings. I guess if you went Hatred on Fizz, you would have a similar experience. It's also just satisfying to hit and hear the little clink. Very satisfying. I like that. Also, if you had both of your weapons full Ellie, like if my second one was Fire, Cold, and Lightning instead of Fire, Cold, and Chaos, then you could even potentially do like Trinity things. Which Trinity is a little hard to balance, but if you can balance it, Trinity's very, very strong. I guess it doesn't have to be fully balanced, it just helps if it is. Wise Oak also would be another potential thing that we could look at once we had a higher life pool and trying to do the resist balance thing to make Wise Oak work. And then the nice thing with like basically being able to sustain without the belt is that now if we wanted to go do like crazy boss stuff, we could just throw on a Mage Blood and go, go, go. Because that's really the difference between Headhunter and Mage Blood is like Headhunter's just better for mapping. Mage Blood's significantly better for bossing and very, very hard content. And I think the fastest way to get a Mage Blood is to have a Headhunter. Like, just save up for a Headhunter early league. And then use it to currency farm, then buy a Mage Blood, and then profit, essentially. And so something like this is neat because you can essentially kind of play it however you want to. If you want to really make it super tanky and you want to make it extremely efficient, you can. If you want to make it just Omega high damage, you can. It's definitely solid. Definitely solid. I'm a fan. I am a fan. What level are we up to? We're at 73. So kind of what I would do from here is go ahead and get like barbarism. Come up, get warrior's blood, heart of the warrior. Like get all this, get barbarism. That also gives us +1 fire, which is nice. Then from there, I would probably get these guys, Fatal Blade. And probably these guys, Blade Dancer. Because that gives us more melee strike range, which is very, very helpful. Where you don't have to be as close to them, which is good for very, very obvious reasons. And I would probably come up through here. That way, if you have extra points, once you're done with all that, you could come get all this. For even more plus the max res. To make you even more tanky. But yeah. Yeah, basically. Yeah, basically that's where we're at it's fixing life. Once we fix life, then we could go and get even the resistances. And then just come in and get a little bit more raw damage. Like this is a lot of raw damage. This is a little bit of raw damage. The strike range is what's good here. This is actually not even a bad idea. Like getting Fangs of the Frost and Lava Lash. Because we do have a lot of fire and cold. That would be another good couple of points there. Blade Master is not bad for 4 points. A lot of attack speed right here. So much like Eliarez going this route. Another way I guess you could go too is you could run all of the you could run all of the what do you call them? The purities and go for like 90 to all res. That would also be an option here. I don't know if that's so much worth it anymore though. Because it's just so much effort and you can just get a mage blood and it gives you essentially the same effect. Because you're going to get like a 50% less multiplier to basically all elemental damage. Another thing that might be even worth thinking about is going Petrified Blood. Like trying to get to like 2k 2k-ish probably. Which would probably be like 4,500 life. Then once we hit that threshold, we could even do reserve Petrified Blood on life with like precision or something too, to make sure that we're below we're on the threshold basically and we're below it. And that might even be worth it just as a defensive layer at this point too. I wouldn't do it right now, like life pool's way too small. But potential an option. There's no way that was a full clear. Was that a full clear? Oh, no. I just found the boss room early. Yeah, it has really good damage. Yeah, exactly. That's the thing with something like this is you can, like, I would want to make it where you can at least map comfortably, which I think we're pretty much at. So from here, you can kind of roll with it however you want to. You can make it where it's way more boss focused, way more um like that's the other thing is I'm wondering, let's just uh I don't have a good option. I was hoping I'd still have like Fortify or something, but I can grab it off the stash tab. Actually, I'm just curious what it's like without the splash. This is pretty good. I think the splash is going to be necessary. I mean, it's not. It's definitely worse without splash. Significantly worse. Yeah, you basically have to have melee splash to clear. About double or triple the area with melee splash. This is really making me want to do really made me want to try out Blade Flurry. Of course, the colors are a little wrong for Blade Flurry. So you really want infused channeling in there as well. And you want all the attack speed in the world. But yeah, the damage is there. The clear's good enough. And it's like not gonna get touched by the changes other than you may not be able to do spell suppression and armor cap, just depending on how they change things around. But that's really like it. Because we're at, yeah, like 2400 without flask up and capped with flask up. So yeah, that's like really good on armor considering we basically have one piece of armor gear. So I could see them. I really do think Breathstone's gonna take a hit. Just because it's so much defenses. But even if like Breathstone takes a hit, it's probably still good. Oh, there we go. 2 monsters. Yeah, let's get out of here. But this gives me some good playing around ideas. And definitely a good... It's a good start. Then kind of what I'll do from here is I will mess around with this a little more at some point. Probably not today, but probably well, maybe today, maybe like late today, or possibly tomorrow. I might go through and try to get a few levels and play around with Petrified Blood, play around with some different gearing options, like optimize the gear a little bit more, because I basically like threw on stuff I had already for essentially all of this, other than the weapons, is like literally stuff I had laying in stash tabs. So probably want to revisit that. The weapons I think are solid. The only thing that I would think about changing would be this one to get off the chaos and get it to pure Ellie or pure Fizz. Um, but really, it's like you just want that 2 attacks per second is really the big number on these. But yeah, pretty happy. Pretty happy. Turned out a lot better than I thought it was going to turn out. For sure. Like I did not have high hopes originally with the let's mess around with dual strike. So I've been pleasantly surprised with it. I do think you can fit in precision pretty comfortably here. So that might not be a bad option. Instead of Herald of Grace, just run a precision. Oh, I thought I had one. Maybe I don't. I'm sure I have one lying around somewhere. Yeah, here's one. That's a level 1 one. Do I have a leveled one? Oh, there's a max one. Let's see. I think we can fit it in. No, can't fit in max. So yeah, I guess I'd had to play around with seeing how high I could get that up. And then of course, if you wanted to run Herald, you could. You would just take off Grace. Let's look at kind of what that would look like. So Grace is very significant for the evasion side of things. And as far as like priorities, like if you can hit 75% here, you're in pretty good standing. We do have 55% suppressed spell damage, which is nice. All in all, it's good. Just need to shore up life. Shore up life and get some more multi. We could probably get out of these nodes because these are the block and ailment nodes, and we could go into the crit and crit multi nodes. This would give us much higher DPS and probably wouldn't really affect our defensive layers at all, as like dual wield block isn't that great. We're at like 30% chance with these nodes. So that is probably the call. Just get more damage per point invested. I might even do that right now, though. I might just consider pulling out of these 4 and just grabbing a bunch of life nodes, like grabbing Barbarism and going and pathing these 2 nodes or something, just so we're close to here. Or maybe grab Barbarism and maybe grab those 2, because these are 6%ers, which is pretty good. But yeah. Actually, I think that's the call. I think the call is literally you pull out those 4, grab Barbarism, and grab these 2 6%ers. Because that would put you at like 3,300 life. Let's just do it. Damage is fine. 3K. 3K. So yeah. Then the other thing you could also do, if you didn't want to go through here, is you could path up and come into this giant life wheel here. Is also, you may not even need to get a lot of the sword node stuff. I'm sure at some point it's going to fall off and it's going to feel necessary. But until it does, it's probably not the biggest deal in the world to just go more defensive. I'm not even sure if this is necessary. I was doing this while leveling with the heralds. And that cluster might also be able to get out of. Now, of course, you couldn't run Determination, Grace, and Defiance Aura if we get out of this. But I'm not sure all that is worth being able to get Grace in, essentially. and like a low level precision on just a like what you're getting for the investment, because 5 points is quite a lot of damage. Where basically the only thing you would have to drop is grace to get out of it. So it's really if you want that evasion layer or not. Evasion probably isn't the biggest hindrance for this with having essentially armor cap. I'm not sure evasion is all that necessary. Then at that point, you could also swap out of the Jade Flask for a Phasing Flask, which would probably feel a little bit better. So that would probably be another call. I'd probably pull out of these 5 and use these 5 points to, what would that give me? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That would get you Warrior's Blood. And then you could again go into Heart of Warrior. That's actually probably a better use of the points, at least at this point, is start getting into all this life stuff here too. So we get decent life total. Of course, Brass Dome does hit your life pool, but it's also a lot of defensive layer with armor. And for the most part, it's a pretty good trade-off. But I think I'm going to call it for now. I appreciate y'all coming by. Appreciate it very much. You'll have a wonderful rest of your day. And I will catch y'all on the next one.